Welcome back to Action Toon Bros, episode 84. This is your host, Matthew Lewis, joined as always by
Ben Sturgeon. And
yeah.
Wow, what a time this has been. So we're back after doing some recordings with our special that we just got done recording for Star Wars Visions. We're back at it with
special.
Fillmore.
Hell yeah. Oh, hype as shit. But glad to be back in the realm of police procedurals. As usual, we all try to tie in some other stuff that we've been watching or in the meantime. Have you got a chance to do any procedural watching or any kind of mysteries or cop shows or anything like that since the last time?
Unfortunately, not this time.
Okay.
I actually did have a slight backlog of other shows that I've been trying to catch up with, but none of them were mystery or crime or anything of the sort.
Okay. I would say I watched a show that's been on my list for a long time that I know I've mentioned a couple times before in the past on other podcasts. The show called Angie Tribeca. It's a parody spoof like Police Squad or Naked Gun. It's made by Steve. It's written by Steve Carell and his wife, who was his writing partner, and it stars Rashida Jones from Parks and Rec and The Office and stuff as the main cop. Absolutely fucking hysterical. It's more so than any of those mockumentary shows, like I said, like Parks and Rec or The Office. It's straight up just a parody procedural cop show. I watched the first 5 episodes and multiple of them used a bunch of the funny ass tropes from this actual batch of episodes. 2 of them specifically had actual references to this one. One
what
had
was the show called again?
Angie Tribeca. It's available on HBO Max. I know that.
Ah, darn it. That's actually the one I don't have. I think my roommate has that, but either way, yeah, that sounds amazing actually.
It's incredibly fucking funny. Just like Naked Gun, every other thing is a funny ass pun or a fucking hilarious visual gag. It's fucking great. I love the show. And like I said, I watched the first 5. 2 of the episodes are relevant to specific plot points in this batch of Fillmore episodes, which is very fucking funny. Now, before we get more specifically into the batch, did you watch it yourself, or did you watch your roommates getting into the episodes as well?
Nah, when it comes to Fillmore, unless with Fillmore at least, it's always been just me because as of right now, my roommates have been super fucking busy right now. So but I don't know. I don't know what shows they would like or not like, kind of thing. So, with this one, I'm just I don't know if they'll have an interest in this. And, not gonna lie, if I do bring my roommates in on this, the one big important thing that we're gonna have to do is figure out a setup for the 3 of us to record here.
Oh, yeah, that'd be actually, probably wouldn't be too bad on your side. Well, actually, I forget, you still record through your phone or through, an actual mic on your computer? This shouldn't be too difficult.
I guess, but
at least, for multiple people recording, there's always a nightmare. That's why we've never done more than 2 people for our remote records. So completely
right. But still, either way though. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe one of these days we'll have a show, and then I'll be like, "Hey, I'm recording this show," and both of them will be like, "Dude."
Well, yeah,
it is not this day.
Yeah, but I will say that we will get into the episodes that are relevant. Like I said, a couple of the episode plot points do cross over, and I do want to get into them when we actually get to them. But in the meantime, let's start on this brand new season. Actually, we didn't even mention this season 2 premiere of Fillmore.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is
starting. Yeah, new season, the last season of this wonderful show that only got so many episodes. We will begin with season 2. Episode 1.
The currency of doubt.
Act 1. A dance of deceit.
Okay, Matt, before we actually get into this, why do you always sound like Darth Sidious when you do this?
I'm doing the action, the Dom Fontaine act voice.
No,
it's not shitty on your. I was like, you're getting my shitty phone audio, but they're getting my crispy, sexy mic audio, so it sounds a lot better on the actual episodes.
So I think we start off in some kind of dance studio thing or like an art
Yeah,
studio.
we see a Russian student, Natasha Glasnotes or Glasnotes or something like that, teaching some kind of dance class. We see like mimes and also ballet and like swing
River
dancing.
dance. Yeah, like river dancing and ribbon dancing. There's like a whole bunch of dancing going on.
Yeah, we meet a pair named Tina and Toby. They're practicing a lift maneuver for their weird swing dancing. They're talking about like their collection of Smoot tickets, or Smoit tickets from like all the snacks that they've been eating. As they're like, like talking about like, oh, all those Smoit, like, oh, Smoits, yeah, we've been eating so many Smoits, like, but she's like, oh, you guys, I had to go to the doctor, and she's like, they're like, Natasha, your leg injury, because we see that the actual Russian student is like walking around with a cane. They're like, I thought you didn't need to go to the doctor anymore. It's like, oh, some wounds, they'll never heal. Like, she kind of like limps off, upset.
So yeah, they're like talking about more about these Smoit tickets,
Yeah.
they have like another Smoit ticket, and they're like, all right, we're gonna put it in our locker because we've been collecting these, and you can definitely tell they're very like a middle school couple kind of like levels
also
of like
weirdly like really jazz talking like they're from the 20s because they're
right. And what were the names? Tony and Tina.
Tina and Toby.
Toby, that's what it was. But as Tina opens up the locker to put the Smoit ticket in, she's like, Toby, where's our Smoit tickets? Because the locker is empty.
Yep.
Cut to, we see the safety patrol barricading the locker, just like with the caution tape and everything, taking pictures of everything. And we have like, I guess the indiscriminate group of kids just looking at them doing this.
Yeah, it's like a crime scene that always like a bunch of random civilians gathered around trying to get in a peek. We find out that they lost 10,000 pairs of Smoit tickets. They're all gone. This is when they talk to Fillmore about how they got that many. Tina eats like the milk bars, and Toby eats the chips because he's like, after holding, he's like, I have the big LI, lactose intolerance, so I can't have the milk bars. And she's talking about how they tasted disgusting, but they needed them for the Smoit tickets. Ingrid says that there's no clues, so someone had to know the combination to the locker, and only the couple knows that actual combination. They go to...
and then, of course,
an informant.
Who is this guy's name?
Paulie.
That's right. I knew it was some kind of mobster name.
Yeah, he's like a redhead guy who's like leaning on the lockers. He talks about how he's like constantly eating Pop Rocks. He talks about how people use the Smoit tickets to, for video games, like camping supplies, all kinds of stuff. Like I remember these kind of box top kind of like things back when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about, they collect them and that's a huge amount of money. The only way that you would, like, and of course, with that kind of like cash, the Smoit tickets, there's always a huge gambling ring as well for the school. And Toby was deep in debt as well. And then they say, hey, thanks, Paulie. We really appreciate your information. He's like, hey, man, if you get any information, just let me know. I'm only going to be here for another week because I'm moving out of town. And this is when they're ready to go undercover. Like, they're removing their sashes, and we see that Fillmore actually rips his sash again. And he's just like, oh, come on, you got to get a new thing. You got to get a new sash. He's like, hey, man, if something's sentimental, you can't get rid of it. And this is when Ingrid says, yeah, I left my Nagato Power Wombato bed sheets. And she's like, what the hell is that?
It's the number one, like, bed sheets of Wombat Combat ever. It's like,
the finest in anime bed. Yeah, she says the finest in anime bed linens. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. Of course, she's an anime fan. She's literally our age in the aughts. And this is when they say that, like, okay, so we're going to use the name of a criminal who's out of town to get into this Smoit gambling ring. So they use Ken Himmelman as the name drop to get past the guards. And this is when they meet Johnny Nevada, a weird, like, vaguely foreign student who's, like, the highballer or, like, the lead ringleader.
He's the guy who owns the casino, pretty much.
Yeah,
he's the head of
owner.
It. And
he says, so what games would you like to play? We have Old Maid and Dandy for Candy. And he's just like,
that's right, it's Dandy for Candy. And it's like, and of course, Fillmore, like, is putting stacks of these schmoits up. He's like, what about poker? And of course, Phil's like, wait, what's his name again?
Johnny Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada is just like, we only have old maid or dandy for candy. And Fillmore's like, all right, let's go for candy. And as they're actually like already the pot is huge, and we find out that dandy for candy is pretty much like Go Fish only with candy.
Yeah, it's just Go Fish. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's like Go Fish with like candy instead of actual with candy pictured cards instead of like actual like cards. And Fillmore wins the pot and takes it, and Nevada's like, "Hey, no, why don't you play another round? You have Lady Luck's on your side." He's like, "Nah, we got ahead. But before we go, maybe you can tell me about Toby." And that's when Nevada's like, "Oh, him. He's very much in debt, yes. I do not like people who welch out and are late on their payments." And as Fillmore and Ingrid are about to leave, a guy walks in like a fucking Hawaiian shirt and everything, like, "Hey guys, look who's back from Hawaii." And we find out it's actually the guy they're saying, "Hey, we're friends of this guy."
Yeah, Ken Hemmelman.
Yeah, Ken. It's Ken. And Nevada's like, "Hey, Ken, look, your friends are here." And Ken's like, "Do I know you guys?" And Fillmore's trying to play it off like, "Hey, you don't remember me, Ken?" And as they're both trying to like kind of bounce, and Ken's like, "Wait a minute, that's Safety Patrol. I know him. That's Fillmore. He got me for some kind of racket like 2 weeks ago." And then of course it's like, oh no, like they get cornered, and that's when we get to
Act 2.
2.
A stolen trust. They begin to flee the henchman, who I believe is the henchman from a previous episode, the cooking episode. I think is the same guy, which is very funny.
I think you're right.
Yeah, they like lose him in they have like a cotton candy dispenser, and like next to like a huge, gigantic, like human-sized bag of cotton candy. They pour it in there, and suddenly like the whole room fills with cotton candy as they begin to flee through all the smoke. Very fucking funny. As they finally do manage to escape Johnny Nevada, they end up talking to Toby. They're saying like, "Okay, so Toby, you're going to be our lead suspect because we just found out about your huge Smoit debt, and it's like, that's the main way that you could get out of this huge debt."
They haven't
found him yet, but they think about that's what their suspicions are him. They haven't found him yet, but they're going there next.
But before all of that, you find out they're in like the dance studio, and we get a little bit of exposition on the blonde teacher girl. Apparently, she did have a dance partner. And, but those were the old bygone days, and I forget, I don't know if they name drop him yet.
They don't name drop him yet, but they do mention that while they were performing, he did drop her, and that's where she received her injury. But now, now she only teaches instead of actual performing.
And thus, then we get to the Smoit debt, and of course, Tina's like, "What's going on, Toby? Please tell me this is a lie." And, it's just like, "Honey doll, baby, please look, it's all a big mistake, it's all a big misunderstanding. I mean, yeah, sure, I did some bad things." Like some 20s fucking crime beat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course,
dancers, of course.
And of course, she's she's upset, and she legitimately leaves him. And outside, she's like, "I'm hereby saying that Toby and I..."
She's doing a press conference about her breakup.
Yeah, Toby and I are separated. However, tomorrow I'm gonna have some auditions for a new dance partner. So
she's talking about,
yeah, just talking about everything that's gone on and everything. And as she leaves, very distraught, Ingrid's like, "Hey, so what are we gonna do?" And Fillmore's like, "There's not really much we can do. I mean, this is pretty much case closed, so we're just gonna have to, go with it." And as they're walking away from the press conference, you see a silhouette of someone looking from the distance. Dun dun dun.
And meanwhile, you hear popping of pop rocks again as well.
Popping pop rocks. Yes, I mean it's very obvious. It's not really a silhouette. You can see who it is in the background, but we go back to we go to the cafeteria where Fillmore's trying to have his lunch, and Toby's just like, "Dude, you ruined my life. This isn't, I didn't do any of that." And Fillmore's like, "Look, all the evidence is literally, pointing to you." And Toby's like, "Dude, look at the big picture. I'm being framed. And he's like,
He
all
also
right,
says that I'm still in debt. I didn't use the Smoits I paid off because I'm still paying off Johnny Nevada. So
yeah.
obviously I didn't take the Smoits.
The Fillmore's like, all right, fine, sell it to me. Tell me why you're not. And he's like talking about how he was sick. Like he was sick before, like the Schmoitz thing, the Schmoitz crime happened, and
Yeah,
so
they go
it's
to
like,
his locker to find evidence of what happened. He's saying like, yeah, I was having my regular 4-egg lunch, but I got sick after the first 3.
and when they look at the egg,
investigate.
Ingrid's like, here, let me see that egg for a second. She takes off the shell and everything. She finds an ink thing and finds a stamp that says fuck, what I forgot what it said on the
I know
bottom.
that it's some kind of cheese company because it's actually a piece of provolone cheese.
Yep, it's provolone cheese in the shape of an egg. And of course, he's like, "Oh, wow. Okay, good. We're back on the case. You really didn't do it then." And Toby's like, "Hey, can you tell Tina maybe?" He's like, "Dude, we got this.
Oh,
Don't worry."
hey, you got to get the line right. He says, "Can you please let my baby girl Tina know that I'm not some delinquent daddy-o?"
Thank you. And of course, Fillmore's just like, "Yeah, we got you. Don't worry. We're gonna find out who really did this." So we cut to Fillmore actually was sitting with Tina during these dance auditions, and she's like,
to be her new partner.
she's like, "Wow, all of these guys aren't that great." Fillmore's like, "Okay, you could go with the old one again." She's like, "No, I don't want anything to do with him." He's like,
Yeah.
"But I mean, oh." And as they're about to talk, we see who is the guy's name?
Larry DeWolf.
Thank you. Larry DeWolf walks in, who and we see the instructor's like, "No, get off the stage," and literally nearly beats him off stage. And Fillmore's like, "Who's that?" It's like, that's that's what was it, Lanny?
Larry
Lenny?
DeWolf.
Yeah, Larry. That's
Larry
Lenny.
DeWolf.
That's Larry DeWolf. That's the person that was her dance partner until he dropped her. Oh, so no wonder she wants to get him off stage because she can't really forgive him. She's like, "Yeah, but that leg wound, it's not really affecting her. It's all in her head. She's actually just fine."
She's just not letting go of what happened.
And and he's like, "Well, speaking of which, not forgiving that, why don't you forgive Toby," kind of thing. She's like, Tina's like, "He doesn't deserve it." He's like, "But see, that's the thing about forgiving someone. You don't do it for them. You do it for yourself," kind of thing. And you see she's kind of feeling it. And that's when the next dancer shows up.
Yeah, of course, O'Farrell.
Fucking O'Farrell. We don't get to see how that works, but we get to go back to Safety Patrol headquarters, where Ingrid is trying and failing to find out anything about these provolone eggs.
Provolone, yeah. Yeah, she's calling a bunch of different cheese stores, but none of them sell egg-shaped cheese, which is a very fucking bizarre thing. Fillmore thinks that Larry should be the next suspect because now he's trying to replace Toby as Tina's dance partner. Once again, as Fillmore's getting ready to go, his sash rips once more. He's okay, I'm going to go see the school seamstress to try to get this shit fixed because this is getting out of hand. But Ingrid's like, "Why don't you just get a new one?" He's like, "Oh, no, I told you before I'm not going to get a new one." So he goes to see the seamstress, who's this older Indian woman. As she's fixing up the sash, she's like, "Okay, this is going to need a lot of work because this thing's been through a lot of wear and tear." And he's like, "Okay." And as he looks over, he sees a beautiful new dress. He's like, "Oh, wow, who's that for?" Like, "Oh, it's for that dancing girl. She's, she wanted me to have a new dress for her." He's like, "Oh, for Tina?" And she's like, "Maybe. I don't remember what her name was. Maybe that's what it was." As he's getting ready, Ingrid finds the shop and finally finds out that it's an international cheese novelty shop. Yeah.
Yep. And as they're going over to
hit that shop.
Yeah, they're going. Well, we do that a lot. You gotta love remote recording.
Of course.
As they're going to this, I mean, Ingrid's like, "All right, good. We've got a little bit of time before they close, so we're just gonna go in there and ask them about this cheese." And all of a sudden, a someone
a
in like
ninja,
covert.
a fucking ninja.
Okay, but here's the thing. But here's the thing.
Flips onto the scene.
He's not dressed up as a ninja though. It's like someone in like the fucking like Siphon filter fucking like outfit, like covert ops kind of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much a freaking ninja comes over, kicks a bunch of like milk crates that are like beside the store. And they all fall tumbling down. And that's when we get to
Act 3.
A bitter betrayal, my
sweet. The ninja literally flips away, and causing him to be just out of time before the shop closes.
And that's when Ingrid's
says, okay,
like,
Fillmore, I'm going to need you to look away. You're not going to see
what
this.
does she do?
She's gonna put on her cute face and try to infiltrate the shop. I was like, "Excuse me, sir, I just missed your shop. Can you please open up for me?" She's like putting on a little puppy dog costume, and Fillmore's like, "Oh, dog, jeez." And this is what he says. "Oh, sure, little girl. Oh, what a little cutie." And then he lets him in, and he explains that it is a Warleydale cheese egg. It is a gift made for British children during the war. No, unfortunately, nobody really makes them anymore. But like, he's one person that he does have a supplier for. She's like, "Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mister. Thank you so much." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, little girl." And he like pinches her cheek, and he like won't let go. He's like, "Excuse me, I'm seem to be having a fit." And he's like,
a bit of a spasm going on right now. I'm sitting here like, "Are you serious?" And then like as they're walking away, they're didn't they say they were going to see somewhat like.
They're gonna go
that's
to
right, because they were going to Larry, because Larry's the next suspect. So they're going to go to Larry's house, but as they're doing that, they see movers in front of Polly's house, and Polly's like, hey, be careful with those, all right? Oh, hey guys, how's it going? And like Fillmore's like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, tomorrow we're moving out. And he's like, to somewhere in Idaho, I can't remember where.
They say the name later, the very goofy name of the city they're going to.
Right, but he's like,
Pocatello.
What was it called?
Pocatello.
Yeah, that. And of course, Polly's like, hey, how's the thing going? How's everything going? He's like, and Fillmore's like, not so good. We're actually gonna be going to another suspect right now. And Polly's like, all right, you got any more info? Just let me know. He's like, hey, speaking of which, thanks for the heads up on the original info you gave us. He's like, and as they're walking away, Polly's like, anytime, officers, has like an evil face on him, like, anytime.
Yeah, being weirdly sinister, of course. As they go to Larry's house, they meet his mother, and she's like, oh, is Larry home? She's like, oh, you mean Lancelot? How is he not proud of his name? He's named after one of the Knights of the Round Table. She's like wearing a Union Jack t-shirt. And she's like, we're just having some food. Did you want some blood pudding or maybe
blood sausages, maybe some, and like lists so many different like British specific foods. Yeah. And they're like, sorry, we can't. We're on duty. And she's like, oh, perhaps another time. Cheerio. Leaves. And of course Ingrid's like, hey, did you get a weird feeling? What, you mean the bad food feeling? No. I mean, it was British bad food. I think she called him an enophile.
Anglophile.
Yeah, that's what it was, Anglophile. Because apparently she's like, she only likes things like customs and like
she's obsessed with British culture
that are British specifically. And then they're like, oh wait, British? You mean like this cheese egg?
Yeah, the novelty cheese egg given to students.
Oh wait, the mom did explain that Lancelot went to some dance-off contest going on later tonight.
Yeah, just this night. So as they figure out that Larry is definitely the lead suspect now, they head to the 4th annual Tri-State East Coast West Coast Boogie Woogie Lindy Hop Invitational and Chili Cook-Off.
I mean, odd flex, but you know what? Any excuse for a chili cook-off, right?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I know. Like, also, I love they always have really long, really specific, goofy ass names.
Right. And it's funny because if you notice when it flashes to the audience, I swear you could see Ingrid's sister in the audience.
Yeah, 100%. And I saw Augie, the little like weird hat kid who's voiced by Frankie Muniz, was in the audience. Like there were a couple. They always reuse character model, not reuse, but like I guess just saying like these people are in the world. They're all involved in the same shit, so it's very cool.
No, I like that they do that. Well, Fillmore and Ingrid go backstage, and they see O'Farrell trying to do like the dance practice with Tina, and they're like, O'Farrell, really? It's like, yeah, we just wanted to like do a little dancing, it's nothing bad, nothing fancy kind of thing. And Tina is like, every time O'Farrell does something, she's always got a complaint.
Yeah, she's saying he's not as good of a partner. And they're saying, hey, has Larry arrived yet? And she's like, well, actually, Larry's been here at the show the entire night, so he can't really be a suspect. And they're like, oh, really? Just as they're preparing, Tina does a flip to, like, as practice with O'Farrell for, like, their lift thing. And he's just like, wait a minute. The way that movement, the Fillmore then believes that the person who attacked them, the ninja, was actually a female student, or got at least probably more than likely. As he begins to question her, like, okay, so what if I think his main thinking is that Tina might be the ninja. He asks her, hey, Tina, why aren't you using that new dress that the seamstress was making you? That pink dress. And she's like, were you serious? No way. I can't wear pink. Pink's for blondes to wear.
Dog, dog, dog.
And this woman's just like, oh, dog. They deduce that it must be
then
Natasha and Larry.
Yep, as they're like putting the pieces together, it's time for Natasha and Larry to dance, and we see Natasha in the pink dress getting ready to dance with Larry, and that's when they get interrupted because Fillmore is putting all the pieces together. It's like, so it was you two kind of thing, you were teaching Tina and Toby how to do the dances, but you had your leg injury, so when you were teaching them, you thought they were going to do better than you. So you acted like not only did you act like you hated Larry, but you tried to convince everyone that you still had that injury, and you took the Smoits, and you wanted to sabotage their relationship so that they wouldn't be better than you, kind of thing. And of course,
she did this all purposely to split them up, and it was just the whole like impetus for this.
And of course, Tina's listening on this like, oh my goodness, and that's where the cheese egg comes in and everything like that. And thus we get another chase scene.
Yeah, Natasha begins to do her crazy ninja acrobatics to escape the scene, but just then Fillmore manages to lasso her foot while she's like hanging from like a roof ceiling thing, and like as he finally pulls her down, we see that his sash actually gets tossed into some of the chili, just as Ingrid goes around and chases Lancelot and finally dissolves. Him as well. Yeah, like literally dissolves into the chili. Natasha manages to escape since the sash disintegrated with the huge amount of the Smoits in suitcases. Fillmore tells her, like, okay, come on, you've lost. There's no getting out of this. You could have just gotten away with it. She needed to do all this crazy setup if you just would have forgiven your partner and moved forward in your life. What you're doing is insane. As she has like the Smoits over like a rail, she's like, "No, I can't give up now. I have to win the competition." Just then, out of nowhere, Paulie runs in and he says, "Like, you led me right to the Smoits. I'm gonna be rich in the new town. This many Smoits goes really far in Pocatello, Idaho." As he begins to flee with them, also stealing from the people, all this crazy shit happening. As he begins to like run up the barn steps, Tina confronts him and manages to get the Smoits, like wrestle him away from him. She has a suitcase. She like then decides to like, these Smoits have caused enough trouble, and she like dumps all of them off the railing into the lake. Which is
and of course he's like, Paulie's like, no, the Smoits, no, you monster! And we see Tina look inside the door she came out of, smiles, and starts running past everyone. And it's like, wait, where's she going? And Ingrid's like, I think she's got a guest. Where you see one floor below, we see Toby looking at all the Smoits like raining down, and Tina and Toby kind of have like a dance together kind of thing because they make up. And
O'Farrell's the one booking Natasha and Lancelot.
And he's so sad. He's like, I guess I'll bring him in because I guess dancing's not my thing. Maybe I should focus on chili. Really, really spicy chili. And Ingrid's like, hey, so how about that new belt, huh? And Fillmore's like, yeah, I mean, mine got disintegrated, like got disintegrated by what was it like 10
Five
like
alarm chili.
that's what it was, five alarm chili. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna need a new one.
Yeah, and that's where the episode ends.
Oh my
God. I
goodness.
could go for some fucking chili. That sounded delicious.
It does.
This episode had yeah. Did you ever like collect any of those box top things back from the aughts and shit? Like one of those competitions that were always going on? I always heard about them. I never gave a shit enough to do it.
I'm gonna be real with you. I never did either.
Yeah, it's way too much work. I'm just like trying to eat my cereal and go on with my fucking day.
The only thing is like with my school at least, the class did try to do a thing where it was like, hey, collect box tops and we could have a pizza party if we collect the most.
Yeah.
And I contributed nothing to that. But every year we still won anyway, so.
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, right?
One of the funny, there's two weird little things. One of it is Johnny Nevada, who only had the one scene, basically. The voice actor is Jason Fuchs, or it looks like Jason Futz. He's like a huge multi-Emmy award-winning writer now. For like, he wrote both of the new It movies. He worked on a bunch of the Ice Age series. He's like a huge writer now, and he's like won a ton of awards. He's been like, it's very fucking awesome, and he's like successful for this one silly ass little scene he did. But yeah, that was like a huge. He also does like a little bit of acting, but yeah, he's mainly for like writing a shit ton of really high production movies and shit. The other thing was back in the aughts. Did you ever watch any of the like dance shows and shit that were going around there at the time?
Not really, no. Like Dancing with the Stars and stuff like that. No,
I've never given a shit about Dancing with the Stars. The one that I know that we watched regularly growing up was the MTV show America's Best Dance Crew, which was like a breakdancing b-boy style a competition thing that was on MTV during the time back in the aughts. And I remember me and my sister watched that all the time. But other than that, I've never watched, Dancing with the Stars, never watched. So You Think You Can Dance is another one of those fucking reality shows that I've heard of for like decades. I've never ever like watched a fucking episode of my own volition. You could not pay me
like
enough
honestly, they're just not my thing really. And like it's not from lack of trying. I did try one time and I'm like, I can't with this.
Yeah, no, I can't. Like, I've never watched any of those weird things except for the MTV one back when I was like a teen. And also the other thing was gambling. Now, do you know any like actual card game stuff? Like, I mean, the only card games I really give a shit about are TCGs. I've never really been a fan of like poker or anything
I know.
That.
Okay. So going with the simpler ones, like in middle school. I do know Old Maid, and yes, I do know. Go Fish. Those are simple ones, right?
Dandy for Candy? Yeah.
You're right. I do know Crazy Eights. I'd have to get my hands back into it, but it's been a while. But I think I could do Gin Rummy again. I know Euchre. Oh, Euchre's a fun one. Poker, Blackjack. Poker, I know 5-card stud, and I know Texas Hold'em. Specifically, those are the only kinds of poker I know. And aside from Yu-Gi-Oh, and a little bit of Pokemon TCG, I do know Uno, Skip-Bo, Phase 10. So yeah, I know a fairly decent amount of different card games.
I'm gonna say it's way more than me. I learned how to play poker from our friend Steven back like probably over a decade ago. And I know I did very well just because I played like a fucking maniac, and apparently I did very well during like our group games multiple times, which is very fun because no one can tell when I'm actually lying or actually bluffing because I like barely know what I'm doing myself. The other one was blackjack. We played so much blackjack in school. It was like whenever we were like doing like a first period, just like hanging out, whatever, waiting for class to start, people would always pull out like a thing of cards and start playing. I think they just called it 21, but it was literally just blackjack.
Yeah, 21 blackjack. Actually, there is another one because speaking of which, in high school, during lunch, actually, it was virtually slapjack. But they called it Egyptian rat screw for some fucking reason. It was slapjack.
Hey, I know that. I heard about that game. I heard of Egyptian rat screw.
Yeah, you actually heard of it? But yeah,
Jeffrey Lusk,
it's virtually Slapjack just with that name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun time, and oh my god, we would get so you would not believe how red my hand would be after lunch.
No, of course.
Because you always had those people who are like not just like boom 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 boom. It would be like boom. Bam! Boom, 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 kind of thing.
Yeah,
like people would
absolutely.
slap for blood. But yeah,
I absolutely
just like, but you at least know poker and blackjack. You know, the two big gambling ones.
Yeah, the ones that's the easiest to scheme with if you're playing like a video game or something like that. Like the Yakuza games always have a very extensive gambling system and like money system, and if you can like game the system, it's very fucking easy to get a shit ton of money with that. The other one, do you know Pai Gow?
Refresh my memory on that one.
It's a very weird game, but the only reason I know of it because I know it's a card game typically, but I know there is actually every episode I swear to God is always a long ass fucking.
Hey! At least in this one it makes sense. You know, one of these days you're gonna just keep going and you're gonna ignore those sirens.
Yeah. Well, one of these days, but we always have to address it every time. Anyway, yeah, Pai Gow I know is another weird game about like where like people have like two sets of cards that they're like playing against each other, and the only reason I really know about that recently is because, like I said on my YouTube videos, I have the Magic the Gathering set. I know there is a format where like you play with like two small mini decks of 15 cards, and they're like it's 5 piles of 3 cards, and you can actually play Magic the Gathering Pai Gow with just like 1 or 2 packs if you don't want to spend any money. It's like a really weird format. Yeah.
I'll have to look into this one.
Yeah, you can like literally play with like just like 3 or like just like 1 or 2 packs of cards. You can play actual Magic Pai Gow, which is a very, very bizarre format. But yeah, that's the only reason I know about that one. Yeah, I'm personally, like I said, I'm not too familiar with card games. I know I've never really had any interest in gambling card wise. I've never really, personally gone into it, and I don't really get any thrill from the randomness of it. But the other thing about this episode's airing date, like I said, season 1, like how Disney Channel always did, like a bunch of premieres on the same day. This season and this episode premiered on the same day as the Lilo and Stitch series.
Really?
Yeah, a fucking incredible show. Did you watch that show?
I've watched bits and pieces of it. It was not one of those ones growing up that I had a fascination with, but I did watch bits and pieces of it because my I had stepsisters, and they were younger than me, especially our youngest one, and she loved those Disney Channel shows. So like every once in a while I would have looked and like seen stuff that was going on. I'd be like, oh, it's the Lilo and Stitch one. But like I think Bo and Ed both like I think they're both the ones who like really like that show.
Oh yeah, I was obsessed with it.
Yeah, and I think one of my roommates definitely loved that show too.
Yeah, I was obsessed with it. I was on the Disney Channel website looking up like all the different all like 626 experiments, like looking up all of them, thinking of like the Pokemon. I love their designs. I love that show to death. I've watched a shit ton of it, and like a YouTuber I follow just recently ranked like every single one of the experiments that appeared on the show in like a big gigantic actual like chart with actual pictures of them and stuff. It's fucking funny as hell. Nice. Yeah, I love that show to death. Very, very fun show. I huge recommend. Like obviously, what was it? We would have been 12, 14 when it came out, between that era, because this would have aired like 2003, 2004 when the season came out.
Yeah, so I was like 13 or 14, yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic show. But speaking of fantastic shows, just like fucking back to Fillmore, we're more mysteries to solve.
Yes, we
do.
Are
you ready
gang.
to get the next episode?
So yeah, let's start off with season 2, episode 2.
The shreds fell
like snowflakes. Act 1. Slivers of truth.
A snowy morning in X, we see Lorenzo trying to save a kid named Lorenzo showing off to that weird peppy girl who's like always, she's like the head of the news broadcasting thing. And the Green Committee.
Like the really preppy, like popular girl that everyone knows.
Yeah, she's been appearing like more than she's appeared like 3 or 4 episodes already. But she's Lorenzo is talking about like I finally managed to save Charmaine's florist, and then the girl's like, "Oh my god, you're saving the forest? That's so like cool of you." Like, no, not the forest. My mom's flower shop, Charlene's florist. We're doing really well, and I got this huge petition signed by like a shit ton of people, and it's gonna finally gonna save my mom's job. I'm like, oh well, that's really cool. Like, congratulations, Lorenzo. As they leave, they hear like Lorenzo looking around like hello because he hears somebody approaching him, and then suddenly you hear him shriek from inside the school. They run back and see that his petition with like hundreds of signatures on it has been completely shredded, and he's like balled up in a little ball on the ground crying. So like, oh, mi corazón, oh, like, just like speaking in Spanish.
And she's like, speak English. What's going on? And you see like it is absolutely in tatters. Thus we see the safety patrol appear.
Yeah, we see, like, as Fillmore and Ingrid are questioning Lorenzo, they say that a hooded figure with a portable shredder managed to destroy this this petition. And they say, like, okay, guys, I think we have a serial shredder on the loose. We learned that there have been a number of attacks with a couple of other students so far. This is the second one so far, I believe, at this moment. They're saying that the culprit uses a Shreddy Max 350, a portable shredder. O'Farrell's made sketches. Like, I think we've, like, based on what he said, I made some sketches on what the shredder could look like. And as he like shows everybody in the safety patrol, they say, like, is that Tiger Woods? Like, yeah, as if, like.
And by the way, just for you viewers, just for you guys to know, we, the viewers, don't get to see what he drew. We only get the context clues of everyone else. And by the way, very important, by the way, yes, this gentleman, what was his name?
Lorenzo?
The kid who got, Lorenzo was the first, was the second one. The first one, apparently, was Gina Abbott, and it was origami.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then second one was this Lorenzo. But yeah, after O'Farrell does that, and we don't get to know what it looked like.
Sketch with what they hope is his elbow. He drew something really gross, apparently. They talk about, okay, so actually we have no real leads, because that's really not helpful. So we need to find out what's going on. Just then we got to see in Folsom says, okay, well, it's going to get shredded, your badges, if you don't solve this case.
No, hold on. You know what I love being shredded? Lettuce on my salad. Beef, in a very good shredded beef sandwich. And pretty soon it's gonna be your badge if you don't find out who this serial shredder is. And apparently this the serial shredder is going to affect whether or not
because we found out that Vallejo has a hearing coming up, and he says, I have somebody who I think could help with this weird, mysterious case, Frank Bishop. And Folsom's like, oh, absolutely not. I do not want that guy in the case. I do not want him screwing things up again. And he's like, okay, but he's like, probably going to be our best bet. Ingrid tells Vallejo that, like, hey, great, congrats on, being nominated for junior commissioner again. You're definitely going to get elected. And he says, well, I mean, I have a hearing in front of the board in about a week, but if this serial shredder is not caught, it's probably going to really affect my actual, being recommissioned. He says that, like, hey, so I think that Frank Bishop is probably the best profiler we could possibly have, and I really want to bring him in on this, but Folsom's kind of against it. And he explains that Frank Bishop was Vallejo's partner back when he was a kid. Let's say it's his second partner that's ditched the safety patrol. When trying to catch...
Yeah, trying to catch someone during the what was it, the loaded bingo fiasco.
Yeah, a bingo racket fiasco.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
Chachi Fresno. Chachi Fresno was the culprit. They finally managed to confront him as they do their typical fleeing on foot. They cornered him in the cafeteria, and then Frank decided to pour a bunch of gazpacho soup on him.
However, the perpetrator, Chachi is very allergic to gazpacho, so the parents were going to sue the pants off of X middle school unless Frank had to unless Frank left. And so unfortunately Frank did step down, so obviously if the school's still there.
Mm-hmm. They go to question him, so they need his profiling skills. As they go to his base, or as they go to his house, they meet his sister as she walks them through a huge ice garden that she has, that she's like performing at, or she's crafted a huge ice sculptures, and she's going to be giving tours. And it's like, I'll give you guys a tour for free just since you guys need my brother's help. She also says that she is friends with the first two victims. Side note. We didn't really talk about the first episode. Did you suspect, or did you guess the culprit in the first episode?
Yes and no. Because, yes, I had a feeling that that Polly had something to do with it. But it was only like halfway through when I realized that the dance instructor was in on it. Didn't realize that it was going to be those two and Larry.
Yeah, well, Larry was barely superfluously related because he just wanted to steal the shit.
Well, right. Yeah. But at first I thought it was like, oh yeah, I think it's Polly. Then I'm like, no, it's going to be the dance instructor. And then they showed like the silhouettes of Polly. Who'd have thought that it was both of them?
Yeah, fun little twists from a very small suspect pool. But anyway, okay, so Frank just gives them the tour. She also says she's friends with the first two victims. They go into Frank's room and see that it's like mostly trashed, but there are a bunch of newspaper clippings of the attacks and his previous. I got
this for you. On the wall, there are 5 articles, right? First one is Bishop axed, and you like just see a picture of Frank Bishop. Second one is profiler forced to step down. Third one, scandal rocks safety patrol. Below that one, there's a smaller one that just says Frank Bishop continued. And then the fifth one, and then the fifth one, the most important one is rock hard abs in 10 days.
Yeah, very fucking funny.
Yeah.
As they're investigating, they do see Frank come out. He's like wearing like a bathrobe, and he's just like, "What are you guys doing?" And like, "Hey man, we heard you're the greatest profiler, so we came here to look for your help." And he's like, "Oh, great." Well, like he looks at the evidence, he's like, "Huh, this is good evidence. You know who I think it is? George Cotton Pickin' Washington. Now get the hell out of my room." He like doesn't want to help them. As they're beginning to leave, Fillmore's like, "You know what, man? There are people who said you were the greatest profiler in the world. I just don't see it. I think you're a disappointment to the safety patrol and to yourself."
Well, and then he also mentions that there's going to be a lot of innocent people probably going to get hurt because of all this thing too. And as they're leaving, Frank Bishop's just like, "Hey, look, I look. If anything about this serial shredder, they're probably going to go to some big thing, you know. I forget the exact details.
He says they're moving up in what they're actually shredding. Next thing he's going to go is probably going to be paper mache. Or maybe decoupage.
And it's like,
say,
wait a minute.
Oh my god, the big science fair.
Yep. And thus we get to the science fair. As you know, there's like a lot of things going on. Ingrid looks and sees, like with binoculars, and sees that there is some weird hooded kid walking in. And Ingrid's
we also got another sketch from O'Farrell of another suspect. But it's a
looks like an oyster.
Is that a mutant oyster? Like, oh my god, are you saying an oyster's behind this? And they're like, no, I'm not.
I love it because O'Farrell's like, wait a minute, Fillmore, are you saying that it's a mutant oyster? And literally, Fillmore's response is just, no, I do not. No, I don't. And then, like just literally like that soft, like just no. Just no,
yeah,
dude.
And then O'Farrell is just like, okay.
Carry on. Like, gives him the squint, like, very well, carry on. That's when Ingrid sees the hooded figure, and she's like, hey, I got something. And we see Fillmore walking through, you know, and we see, as he's walking through, we see, like, a big old boat, we see a whole bunch of things, and we see the chocolate chiponator that is taking giant blocks of chocolate, like disintegrating them and being packed into X-Fudge boxes.
Yeah, it was like smashing, like big giant block falling down and then smashing in a bunch of pieces. It's a very, very funny little conveyor belt.
And as Fillmore goes right beside where like they lift, like where like a lift is, our weird mysterious hooded figure drops some DNA on him so that when he turns, he gets lifted up and he's about to get smooshed by chocolate. And right beside, what was it called? I have it here. Hold on a second.
It's like a cheese volcano.
Yeah, but the name of it would like kind of stuck out to me. Ah, yeah, here it is, right beside Mount Saint Cliche.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it
that's
just
so
like
silly.
explodes into molten cheese as
Yeah.
Fillmore's getting ready to get smashed. And that's when
Yep.
we get
And this is
to
when we hit Act
Act
Two.
Two.
Old
Old
friends,
friends, new
new
foes.
foes.
As
Just
Fillmore's about
yeah,
to get smooshed by chocolate, we see someone actually like yells, "Move out of the way!" And we see Frank Bishop pulling a lever on a fucking water wheel and push
yeah,
it, and then he like shoves it, shoves it, so it rolls up Mount Saint Cliche, douses it, douses it with water, falls down on the lever for the chocolate, and as the final block like smashes down, Fillmore is saved, barely, but
yeah.
saved.
Unfortunately, early we saw a girl who had a paper mache diorama of Halley's comet, and we see at this point now she screams that her comet diorama has been shredded by the serial shredder. They begin to question the girl. Did you get her name?
No, I did not.
I didn't write down in my notes either. They question the girl about what happened as Vallejo shows up. He's like, "Hey, Frank, I'm glad you got to show up here and you're helping." And he says, "Hey, Vallejo, it's nice to see you too." But of course, what are you gonna do about it? You're saving
Folsom,
your own butt as usual. Just when Folsom pulls up, yeah, mid hairdo, she yells at him
right?
like, "What
Just
the?"
like,
Like, oh, another thing destroyed by the safety patrol. What are you guys doing? You fools! You're ruining everything. And then like Frank is kind of like, like, what is he doing here? Vallejo, your butt's on the line. You're not going to get commissioned as junior commissioner if you don't get this solved. So as she drives off, and then like Vallejo's like, "Hey man, he's like, yeah, covering for your own butt as usual. Don't worry about it." As Frank kind of just like leaves. And this is when he actually decides to help the safety patrol as he's doing the profiling. He says, "Okay, the culprit is likely female, given the two of the victims. They're shredding. They're like, it seem to be multiple places at once, and they seem to be shredding in different angles, some to the left, some to the right. So they're likely could be ambidextrous, but it's not clear." And they're saying that, dude, people usually shred for several reasons, usually revenge or resentment or something personal, whatever they're doing this for. It's not random. And this is when they realize that all three victims so far are actually in the drama club together, and they're actually doing a play currently. As they go there to go question these people, we see that the drama club is been doing a play about Folsom. It's like doing
Yeah, a
the
play about
principal.
Folsom where we actually see all the three victims are here,
Yeah.
obviously.
Also, a
And
little side note: the drama teacher has been in multiple episodes before and is voiced by Kyle Gass.
beautiful.
Yep,
As
it's like
they're
the third episode
as
he's
you
been
know,
in.
as they're done and taking five, we see like the girl who with the Haley's Comet diorama is sitting in a massage chair, and she's like, "Wow, it's a good thing we just bought this massage chair. Feels wonderful." And the head of the departments is like, "Hey kids, the safety committee has an announcement to make."
Yep, Fillmore's saying that, okay, so the serial shredder seems to be targeting you guys specifically. Make sure you guys only move in pairs. Don't go out at night. Just keep an eye out on each other because culprit has not been captured yet, and it's dangerous for you guys specifically.
And some random guy
Yeah.
comes in with a CF on his chest saying, "Hey, we have some flowers here," and all three of them are like, "Wait, these are for me. Hey, these are for me. What are you talking about? These are for me." Kind
Also,
of
there are
thing.
chrysanthemums again.
Yeah,
Very funny
chrysanthemums
from the
again.
yeah, my
Um,
favorite flower.
that's
But
when,
yeah, they've always whenever they have flowers, it's always
and that's
chrysanthemums.
when what's her name? Oh,
Tahama
yeah,
comes
thank
up
you,
with
Tahama.
about the
I'm very bad at
volcano.
the
Yeah,
names. It's like, "Hey,
yeah,
come take a look at this," and she looks at she points out to the setting on the volcano, and she's like, "Look, this thing has been tampered with. We see one wire's like sticking out and like has been tampered and opened up.
yep.
So someone already knew we were coming. Is what you're saying? It certainly seems that way." And so,
Yeah, somebody set this all up to, and they're like, they immediately begin to suspect Frank.
they look through it. They look through some of his files, and I forget. I
They
actually don't
think
have
that
his
since his
plans.
life fell apart without the safety patrol, that he could be doing this to try to get back in their good graces. But Vallejo refuses to believe this. He's like, no, I believe in Frank. There's no way he will do all this crap just to get back and just to, feel like a purpose again. Vallejo then reveals what actually happened after the gazpacho incident. Once Frank was being, kicked out of the safety patrol, he had the chance to stand up with him. As we see like a bunch of paparazzi and stuff talking to Frank, and he looks up in the window and he sees Vallejo with Folsom looking down at him, not giving him any aid. They chose to investigate. Okay, no, we're gonna investigate Frank. Ingrid and Fillmore decide to. But, of course, as they're doing this, Frank overhears and says, yeah, okay, of course. Don't worry, I'm not going to be your scapegoat again, Vallejo, and I'm not going to fall for this shit, so I'm out of here. As he decides to leave and not aid them anymore.
And that's when we cut to Act 3.
Act 3.
Race to
salvation.
As we see Frank Bishop in his house playing a video game, Vallejo actually steps in, and he's like, what do you want, Vallejo? And Vallejo's just quietly walks in and he's like, hey, 2-player? And he's like, Bishop's like, whatever. And so as they're playing, Vallejo, Bishop's like, dude, why are you even doing this? Why are you even working with those people who don't have any clue whatsoever? And Vallejo's like, dude, they're trying the best that they can. They don't have a lot of information. They don't have a lot of information on this stuff. And yeah, I know I did. I know I did some made some mistakes, but I see why it's safe for you to be in here because you make mistakes in here, nobody sees them. Out there, everyone sees your mistakes, kind of thing. And
yeah, he's saying there's no reset button out there. You're just afraid. That's why you're not going out, and that's why you're not aiding us in the situation. It's that simple. It's simple as ABC. And Frank's like, wait, what did you say? Oh, he says ABC. And this is when he realizes that all the victims have been being attacked in alphabetical order from the call sheet list on this Folsom play. And they say, okay, well, who's the next victim? And as they're doing that, they see that the next victim is actually Frank's sister, Francine. Vallejo says he's going to go ahead and warn her, while Fillmore wants to go with him, saying hey, Vallejo, I don't trust Frank. And he's like, no, man, you got to believe him. I believe in him. You got to trust me. And he says, your hearing is in 2 hours. If you're not back in time, this could be your badge. And
yeah,
Fillmore,
and Fillmore's like, it could be a trap to get you not to be there. And Vallejo's like, dude, step down. I got this. Nothing bad's gonna happen. And he starts to leave. While that happens, you see Frank walking in, and no one is literally no one of the walks into the auditorium, and none of the theater kids are there. And he sees Gina Abbott, Bernice Beachmont, which is the person that we didn't know the name of. Lorenzo Amador, and Francine Bishop, and he's looking at the fucking poster for Folsom the Musical.
Yep.
He's like, huh. Really now? None of you are here? The fucking theater head guy's like, hey, how you doing? What you need? And Frank's like, nothing. I actually gotta go and do something. And he starts, he just leaves and starts
he
looks
at the poster. He looks at the poster and he says revenge as just under his breath, and then he leaves just to make him more of a suspect, I believe. Fillmore and Ingrid are having a talk, so okay, so do you think that Frank's behind it? I don't know. But just then they get a call from Anza, the other detective, and he says that they actually took the phone records, and the calls to all the victims had received were coming from Frank's house, making him even more of a lead suspect. We see a snowstorm or something's coming in, but Vallejo is talking to Francine, Frank's sister, in her ice garden. And he's locking up the structures, locking up the back area, and saying, okay, so you're going to be safe. Just make sure that nobody comes and attacks you, And then as he's doing that, we see Frank in the shadows with a shredder.
But then Anzo's like, hey, look, Bernice Beachmont, she's already got an A+ in science. That whole diorama thing, that was extra credit. And Fillmore's like, wait a minute, you serious? Wait, but they just got flowers together. And Ingrid's like, yeah, they got flowers. The guy who walked in had a CF on there, had a CF on his on his shirt.
Lapel.
Yeah, on his
Vest,
lapel. Yeah.
yeah.
And they
Charmaine's
find out.
florist.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, that's the florist. Wait a minute. Maybe it wasn't gonna get destroyed. Maybe dog. All right, because they also had the massage chair, so someone's paying off the theater kids to do self sabotage, which means
it's very funny. Anza's like, the actors were all acting.
Yeah, right. The actors were all acting, and they're like,
and
wait
Fillmore
a minute.
Immediately is like, oh my god, Frank must be behind all this. We gotta go. As they begin to head to meet them, they see that a storm has knocked out all comms and they are unable to reach Vallejo. Just as Frank is like sneaking up on Vallejo and Francine with the shredding device.
Wait, hold on. As Fillmore and Ingrid are running, because we forgot to mention something with Frank Bishop when they first met him. Ingrid and Fillmore are like, wait a minute. Ingrid's like, how could Frank pay everyone off? Because
that's after they cut the scene with Frank and Vallejo approaching them. But yeah, it's like intermittent cut between him approaching them and then
it's got some weird cuts. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But you're right. You're correct. Yeah, he said Frank doesn't have enough money to do this kind of shit or pay off.
Because he literally said that he has no allowance, kind of thing. It's like, yeah. So if they're paying off, wait a minute. What if it's not Frank? And then as they're running more, we see Bishop already like walking over to Vallejo and his sister. And when the two of them turn around, Frank tosses the shredder on the ground and is like, "Yeah, you're the one who did it." And we find out that Frank Bishop is like yelling at his sister, who's like, "Yeah, you're the one in the theater club. You're the one who called all of them so that they can make it look like a shredding's going on, and you're the one who's making it look like I'm the one."
You fit his profile, yeah.
And like the different kids shredding their own papers would explain why it's always like kind of like different shredding. Why would you do any of this? And of course, at first she's like, "What are you talking about? I think you drank a little too much of those lemonades." And
I'm drinking a little too much fake fruit juice. Very fucking funny.
And of course,
and he also said that finding the shredding in your room was the last clue.
Right. Yeah. And then of course, she's like, "Okay, fine. Fine. Honestly, I hated you, Vallejo. I hated what you did to my brother because he became bedridden and he became a recluse all because of what you did, Vallejo. So, because of all this, she apparently has a fucking gate in her ice palace thingy that she made.
Like I said, we saw. Yeah, he was locking it up earlier when he first came to protect her. He was putting deadbolts and locks on some of the I guess a castle or something like that. The structure is. Yeah, he was putting it on there earlier. So yeah, that's why. So yeah, she shoves him into the cage and locks him into the dungeon of this ice castle, which is just insane. She admits, revenge on them, and she locks him up. Now you're gonna miss your hearing, and you won't be reelected junior commissioner. That's my ultimate revenge. Just then, Ingrid and Fillmore arrive, and he gives "That's cold, baby. That's real cold." As they do their typical crazy chase all over her ice sculptures, destroying a bunch of them on the way, which is crazy. She as Vallejo's trying to pick the lock to get out of the dungeon cell. She gets into a snowplow and almost kills Fillmore.
Yeah, legit, almost runs him freaking over. We find out Vallejo actually does get out and then just jumps on. And is like, "Hey, mind if I take the wheel? Sorry, I'm more of a backseat driver." And fucking turns the wheel and he's like, "Hey, word of advice: revenge doesn't make an ice garden grow." I'm just like, oh wow, ouch. Meanwhile, we see her getting booked, and she's like, "Vallejo, if you truly think Frank is a good person, then you'll look the other way right here, right?" He's like, "Sorry, but I got a court hearing. I have a hearing to go to," and we find out that he got the job. He's got his second term. and everyone is
Yeah,
happy.
as he's being elected, Folsom's giving like, we nominate, and we hear like the mic go out, so he misses his first name, Vallejo, as the new junior commissioner once again. Very fucking funny little bit. And at the end, he says like, so what are you gonna do? Frank and Vallejo are hanging out. He's like, so what are you gonna do as your first job, commissioner? He's like, well, I'm thinking about somebody who's just get back on the force. And he's like, yeah, I think somebody's been spending a little bit too much time at home, as they kind of like walk off and like once again partners and friends. A very fun episode. Now, this one, did you see who the culprit was coming at all?
Honestly, no. Because now, as I knew it wasn't going to be Frank, because that one was going to be a little too obvious, honestly didn't see that it was going to be, like, this one was weird because I knew someone in the art, like, in the art building was, like, in the fucking theater group. I knew it was going to be one of them. Didn't realize that it was actually going to be the sister. So no, I did not see this coming.
Yeah, I think I forgot who was the culprit in this one, but then like when the sister was like showing them around her ice garden and talking about how she's friends with the culprits, I think like on my rewatch I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think she's gonna be the one behind this because it's like somebody superfluously related, someone who wanted revenge, and like yeah, early on he does say that the culprit is female. And has like multiple people as backup. So yeah, very fucking interesting little twist in this episode. I'm glad he had a very cool little thing. The main gimmick of this obviously is profilers, which is like a huge thing in the aughts and stuff with like a huge shit ton of characters. Number one, anime wise, because we always have to go to anime for a while. L from Death Note.
Yeah.
He's like not he's like a consultant profiler who's like extremely good at solving cases and shit. Another one, Hannibal from the entire Hannibal series is like a college professor who they go to for consultation, and then ends up obviously being the main cannibal guy in a couple of other mysteries, but mainly known as an amazing profiler who's like incredibly good at helping the police find something. The Hannibal TV show, one of my favorite procedural cop shows ever. I've watched that series from beginning to end multiple times. It's so goddamn good. Another one, Francis York Morgan from Deadly Premonition series. Have you ever played those games?
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah, he uses like fucking weird metaphysical magic shit to like solve all the cases, and like every single case is absolutely insane, complicated, ridiculous.
Wait a minute. I know another good profiler.
Yep.
Frank West from fucking fucking Dead Rising.
Really?
Yeah, dude, have you seen the pictures he takes? He gets great profiles.
Good. That's terrible. The most famous one, terrible. The most famous one is definitely Sherlock. Another non-police officer who like is obviously incredible at figuring out mysteries.
Oh, you mean like from the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock show?
No, Sherlock in like literally the 1800s Arthur Conan Doyle character is a profiler.
The actual detective Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, he's a private detective, and he's also an amazing profiler who can like see a small amount of clues and pick out exactly who the culprit is.
Oh yeah, his deductive reasoning would actually put him under a profiler, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Fair. Fucking fun bit. And another one with the setup is that they want you to think that Frank's behind all the crazy shit going down. So like that would have been like the ex-cop who's like now a killer trope, which has popped up in a bunch of stuff. Did you play Persona 4?
No, but I have seen people watch some of it, like play some of it. So.
Okay. Well, the culprit is would fall under this trope. Not to spoil who the actual thing is. Have you played the game Heavy Rain?
No, but I've heard you talk about it a few times.
Yeah, it's fucking... Well, I would say no spoilers, but the culprit is also ex-cop relevant, story thing. Did you watch the series Dexter?
Dude, come on. I don't watch serial killer shit.
Oh, he's a cop and he's a serial killer, so that's how he falls into that as well. And one of my favorite examples from the Netflix and Disney Plus Daredevil show, Bullseye, is actually a cop. And you don't know that he's actually fucking. That's an incredible interpretation of Bullseye because he's so fucking the Bullseye's whole gimmick is very bizarre, but when you actually see it, like, how it works, it's fucking incredible. You can just, like, throw anything in it, automatically hits the target. It's fucking funny as hell. But yeah, Bullseye's fantastic in another, like, cop serial killer thing. So yeah, this is the first one that I wanted to mention, the Angie Tribeca series. The episode that, like, of the first 5 episodes, one I've randomly crosses over with the episode we actually watched. It was an episode where they're, like, going undercover for a prostitution ring, and, like, their lieutenant didn't want them investigating, and it turns out that their, like, commissioner is one of the people, and it's like it's David Kochner, who, like, if you've seen what was it? He's from God damn it, Ron Burgundy Anchorman series. He's like the bald dude, he's the sports dude. He's always playing like Southern characters. He's like a big bald sports dude. He's very fucking hilarious, David Kochner. But he's playing their commissioner, and he's like he's like dressed as like a baby the entire episode, and it's very fucking bizarre and freaky. It's just a very, very funny ass bit. But yeah, an actual commissioner being in trouble, and like them trying to cover up for an old partner because their actual lieutenant was former partners, and they actually have, same as this episode, have a flashback to like 70s when like they had afros and they had like, you know, weird hair, and they're just like, you know, doing like stuff together, and like why he's trying to cover for his friend now, who's actually like, you know, one of the main suspects they're trying to capture. Very funny little coincidence. That's like such a common thing for like the commissioner and the lieutenant trying to cover for each other because they're former partners bit. But yeah, very fucking funny little bit for Angie Tribeca. Like I said, a huge recommendation. Definitely check out the show. It's fucking hilarious. Now we have to get to one of my favorite episodes of this little batch.
Yes.
Are you ready?
The final episode that we're covering, right?
Yeah, episode 3. Foes don't forgive.
Act 1.
Act 1.
Illusions and
larceny.
We start off in a bunch of steam.
Yeah, a steam?
Steam, I said.
Oh, steam. Yeah, the officers are chasing some weird hippie kid. We find out his name is Moonbeam, and they finally managed to tackle him just in time. He stole the school's popcorn supply. And he's hiding it somewhere. He's like, hey, man, cobbing corn is murder, man. You know, he's like lists a bunch of corn products, and they're just like, okay, well, you're an idiot. Anyway, where is the corn being held? He's like, I refuse to tell you guys. And they're like, hey, would you smell that? As they go to the school sauna, and they see that he stored all the popcorn inside the sauna room. He's like, okay, man, maybe this wasn't the best idea, okay? Just as they say, like, move, get out, as it explodes and fills up the entire sauna with popcorn.
And of course, they're just like, they're like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of popcorn. Folsom is like, hey, so, do you realize why the talent shows here are amazing? And the fucking security guy that's always with her is just like, because of free. I
assume it's the vice
popcorn.
principal.
Yeah, is that the vice principal?
I believe so.
Yeah, the vice principal is just like, free popcorn during the talent show. Free popcorn during the talent show. And yeah, do you realize how much that set us up? And you know, Fillmore explains like, yeah, we didn't realize he had it stored in the sauna, so I'm like, you know, really sorry about that. But Folsom's like, you know what, that's fine. I mean, it's all good, because now I found these what were they called?
Sugar-coated gummy gobblers from the gummy state, Rhode Island.
Yeah, so she's like, actually, you know what? It all turned out all right because of these. You know, Fillmore like raises his eyebrow, and thus we get, you know, and now give it up for our next act, and I don't remember their names.
Linus Santiago and Ra Ra Rita performing magic. Ingrid immediately compliments Rita's glitter, being very, you know, she's a really nice glitter. The show is amazing. They levitate into the sky. They like make a bunch of rabbits disappear out of a hat. It's like an incredible magic show. It says, for my next trick, I need a volunteer. As Rita goes into the crowd and picks up a weird dopey looking kid who's like holding a robot dog. They go up on stage, and it's like, okay, so what's your name? It's like, Dewey. Like, okay, Dewey. And what's your, like, oh, who's the little friend there? Like, oh, this is Barcode. And like, oh, wait, well, let's see. I'm going to make Barcode disappear. As Santiago tosses the dog into the air, uses his wand, and it disappears in a big giant puff of smoke. Fillmore is like, whoa, wow, that is really impressive. And then when he tries to retrieve the dog and bring it back, he fails multiple times in a row, and Dewey begins to freak out about his dog being missing. This is when we cut to the actual inside of the police station. Or, I mean, the officer station, or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah, the weird
says,
officer station, yeah. Where we find out that Linus has actually just gotten off of, 2 weeks of detention?
Yeah, he has a massive rap sheet that's absolutely huge, and he just served a very long sentence. Folsom is incredibly pissed, and she said, but Linus says, no, I'm innocent, I didn't do this, I swear, I would not want to go back to detention.
I love this part because I love it because they're like, okay, so what happened? I can't tell you because, if I reveal my secret, that I would break the magician's code kind of thing. So I cannot reveal my secrets. So Fillmore's like, let me get this straight. You didn't do it. Correct. And the information that you could tell us can absolutely help us with our investigation. Also, yes. But you're not going to tell us anyway. Also correct. So why should we believe you? I'm like, thank you. There's actually a little bit of logic going on behind this kind of thing.
Yeah, he says because innocence is like magic. You have to believe, as he makes a.
You gotta believe.
Yeah, as he proper the rappers out. He says okay, so and he makes like a dove come out of nowhere out of his literally out of his hands. Vallejo says that, okay, so I believe him. I trust him. Folsom says, absolutely not. Given his history, I know he's a suspect. He's probably behind this. You have to figure out who did this. You have to force it out of him. And this is when they refuse to force him to do anything against his will. And it says, okay, well, then if we don't get an actual copy, you have 1 week or he will be expelled. And this is when Rita, they go to question her about what happened. At the crime scene, she says that Linus is innocent because there's no way in hell that he would do this. Fillmore's like, okay, so we're going to try to figure out what's going on. But also, how did you do that trick? He's trying to guess at random ways. Okay, did you use wires? And she's like, nope, that's not how. I'm not going to tell you how. And this is okay, so who actually ended up winning the talent show since you guys were disqualified for making that dog disappear? And they say Kip Fontanella won because of the actual incident that happened. So they go to try to find him. They begin to question him about what happened, and they see that he is a ventriloquist. And we see his little dummy is named Otto P. Dummy. That's the little glasses-wearing guy who's very sassy. Of course, typical sassy dummy. Kip is very shy, and he's explaining okay, no paparazzi, please. I'm very private. This is overwhelming. He says that he's and Otto speaks up for him. He says he's really shy, and he's too afraid to do anything. He also is really pervy to Ingrid all the time because he's a little nasty dummy. Also, Otto does talk down to Kip a couple of times while he's doing his little dummy shtick. He says that we see then as they're questioning Kip and Otto that they're actually friends with Dewey, the victim in this case, which is very suspicious. As they leave, Otto mentions Kip has a number of little puppies, and that's all he cares about now, and that's all he talks about, and Otto's really pissed that he's talking about that all the time. Fillmore goes over all of Linus's past crimes, all the thefts and disappearances and stuff that he's done, and all the victims that he's had. One of the victims was a Claudia Dunks. They believe that she may be a suspect, and that she is currently at a bike rally. They believe that since the last crime that he had done, he had stolen her bike, and that's what landed him in the last detention cell. They go to an alt bike rally that Ingrid has a little advertisement for, and this is where they're going to go to find their next suspect as they begin to look around the rally for her. And this is when we get to
Act 2.
Tricks of the trade.
We see we see this
Claudia Dunks. They say that they know that she has a pink pocket bike, and that's exactly what the rider is writing them down on.
Yep, helmet and everything. And as she's driving away with it, Fillmore and Ingrid find a blue bike with a little passenger sidecar thing. Yeah,
sidecar.
And of course they're driving, and all of a sudden it's just hey, safety patrol, pull over, and they start doing a clash, and Ingrid's like, "Watch out, Fillmore!" And we see a little like safety fucking police officer cutout that says "Be safe." So Ingrid
Yeah.
like is trying to kick the sidecar like free, and as she's doing that, she has to like get a bike pump and like actually splits herself off right in the nick of time. But as all of this is happening, Ingrid goes up a ramp and is giving chase, lassos the back of the pink bike, pulls on forward while the driver unhooks the back and legitimately like jumps out and like dives into the pool, waving at them as both of them crash into what looks like a scrap metal truck. As they get up, you see that that's some really white looking metal, and then the truck moves away, like pulls forward, and you see they actually went into a scrap paper truck.
Yeah, very fucking silly.
Right? And of course,
they
Fillmore's
go in
like,
to
hey,
report that they
Yep.
call in to say that Claudia is the lead suspect now. She just tried to run us down. And then O'Farrell's like, you guys, actually, Claudia's right here with me, and she reported that her bike was stolen. So she's actually a victim here.
And
as they go to question her.
Yeah, as they go into the office, you see Claudia about to walk in. It's like, hey, what are you guys doing? My bike is stolen, and I know you guys were a part of it. I want some answers. And Fillmore's like, yeah, we do too. And she's like, well, I have an idea. Maybe you should stop going to a
try to
case
solve
closed.
cold cases.
Yeah, and just actually put them away. It'd do everyone better. And she kind of like just storms off with that.
Yeah. We found out that she's been actually giving, donating her time to a homeless shelter, giving out food, and her bike was just on display at that rally when it was stolen again. But of course, she again still suspects Santiago is behind all of this. Vallejo and Folsom yell at them for all the collateral damage that they caused, 2 bikes destroyed, and like still no closer to finding out what happened. They question Santiago once more, and he still refuses to tell them anything about how he performed the trick or, where the puppy could possibly be, but he doesn't want to give up his secrets. They say that they only have 2 days left to solve this or he will be expelled because the vice principal is now already writing up his, where to send him to new schools at. Fillmore believes, he says, no, I really still do believe him. But then he's like, okay, so how did you do the trick though? Like mirrors, was that how you did it? He's like, still continuing to try to guess, and he's like, nope. He's just like, dog. And they're like, wait a minute, dog. Ingrid thinks that maybe the toy dog was the actual target of this entire crime, not the kid who's the victim here. So they go to question Dewey at his house, and he seems pretty blasé about losing the dog. He's like, yeah, it's not like it was a real dog. He's still just a toy, but I'm upset that what happened to him. As they're over talking to him, they see that Kip and Otto are over there, being silly and goofy as Otto's talking about his fancy new tux and new top hat. Fillmore says that Dewey never let Barcode out of his sight, so how did you, what happened? What do you mean, why are you so blasé about this thing if you never let it out of your sight? And this is when he finally explains that his parents don't trust him to be able to take care of a real dog, so that they give him 6 months to take care of this toy dog Barcode. If he could do that, then they would manage to actually get him a dog. They think that that's a little excessive, but then Otto pipes up and explains that Dewey is the most unlucky, dumb kid you've ever met. He's very irresponsible, and you see montage of him screwing up a bunch, like flooding a basement or like crashing a lawnmower, or like all kinds of. He's very absent-minded, and that's why they don't trust him to be responsible enough to take care of this dog. And that's why the 6 months is supposed to prove that he can be responsible. Otto, again, is upset that all this talk about dogs and puppies and stuff like that. He's just like, come on, you have other stuff to talk about. Dewey then tells them that he's also got a letter before the talent show telling him to, show there and be at the front seat, setting him up to be like the person chosen. And as they go to take the letter to Tahama to be examined, they see that it actually has a big giant piece of a very expensive glitter on it. And this is when they leave to go find Rita because she's the number one glitter person that they know involved in this case. As they begin to question Rita, she like, okay, so Rita, we're gonna bring you in for questioning. She flicks a deck of cards at them, and then she flees down to the stage. She does a whole bunch of crazy ass magic, like walking into a mirror.
A whole bunch of like things. Yeah, walk to a mirror, gets put into like the saw in half, the saw in half box, where apparently her legs are running away, and until finally,
but she's actually in the other half. Yeah, like she's like, yeah, really doing a whole bunch of crazy ass magic tricks to try to escape. It was a very fucking funny ass bit. But they eventually catch her in a gigantic water tank, rolling it down like a ramp. And as she's captured, she finally confesses to being working for someone named Mr. X. They specifically wanted Dewey to be in the front seat of the show. And the reason that they exploited her is because they offered her extremely rare and expensive glitter. So for this performance, and she did this because Santiago has told her in the past that he loves her, the way the glitter looks on her during their performances.
And of course, Linus,
as they talk, Linus says that he forgives her and he doesn't blame her for doing this. But like he
pulls a thing of handkerchiefs out of his sleeve.
Yep.
As that's happening,
she also admits that she was the driver of the pocket bike that tried to run them down. She stole the bike to try to make Linus look innocent. She did all that crazy shit.
And as this is happening, one of the officers calls them and says, "Hey, got some news for you. We're at the lake and something big's going down. We found something huge." And you find out that they found a collar with Barcode's name on it.
Yep.
And that's when we cut to Act 3.
Act 3. Secrets revealed.
They're questioning, like, they're like, wow, so this was in the lake. And, there was a lot of algae. So it seems to have been there for a long time. Probably since the night of the talent show. You also
it's been a whole week.
Yeah, it's been like a whole week, and you also see that there is a packing peanut and a little ripped cloth on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Fillmore notices that the tear was definitely like seen from the magician's coat. And
Linus' cape had a tear in it earlier on.
And of course, they go to see the kid who owns the dog. He's like, "Wait, please tell me he's not in the lake." And they're like, "Hey, we're looking for him. We're not gonna say he is, but we're still looking. All right." And he's kind of lamenting.
Dewey's kind of concerned. He's like, "I really shouldn't care that much. I mean, it's just a dumb old robot dog." And he's like, "Hey," Fillmore tells him, "Hey, man, you spend much time with something, you get attached to it. Don't feel bad about that." And this is when Anza calls in saying that he found the shop that sold the glitter to Mr. X. The shop is called Girly Gal. And the customer logs mention Linus.
And of course, it's like, hey, all evidence is pointing to him, but like something's off. There's something weird about this. All of a sudden, they get a call saying, "Hey, Folsom needs to talk to you. The week is up." And Folsom's like, "All right, cool. So have you found any hard evidence against him?" And Fillmore's like, "No, we have not." It's like, "All right. So what do you believe happens?" "Well, no. I said, what do you believe?" And he's like, "There's something really off about this. Actually, Ingrid like notices about the packing peanut. She sees a box of the sugar-coated gummy gobblers."
Yep. As she notices that, she's like, "Oh, wait, the packing peanut that could tie to the collar was meant to be found. This is obviously a setup." And then again, Folsom's like, "Okay, well, yeah, if ifs and buts for candies and nuts, all these fake leads and stuff like that aren't really helpful because we actually need a culprit." And Linus gave up his last chance to tell us how the trick was done. He has one more chance, and if he still fails, he is out of here. They go to question Linus one last time, and he says, "No, I can't. You have to believe me. When you become so attached to something like that," he says a line similar to what Fillmore told Dewey a little bit ago about like not giving up on something if you spend too much time with it. Just like magic changed his life.
And even Fillmore's like, "Wait a minute."
Then gets the idea.
Yeah, I heard about. I know that. So they go back to ventriloquist kid's house. And Kip's. And he's like, "Hey, can I borrow that leash for a second, Dewey?" Dewey's like, "Yeah, sure." And the ventriloquist kid's like, wait, no, don't. Presses a button on the collar, and we hear a bark coming from a closet. And we find
Yeah.
out that there's barcode.
Yeah. Just then, Kip flees upstairs. And they run up after him into his crazy attic. They're looking around for him, and he's like talking to them. He's like, "Why'd you do this? Why'd you settle this up?" And he's explaining that he did this because he didn't want to give up his new puppies to an idiot like Dewey. And they are unable to find him throughout this entire gigantic attic because he's throwing his voice. Like, he's a ventriloquist, he can throw his voice anywhere. It's a very funny little bit. But yeah, they're looking all over for him. They say he doesn't trust Dewey to look after the puppies. He doesn't want to give them up. Well, the puppies' names are like Roosevelt, Churchill, and what was the last one? Spicoli.
Yeah,
They're saying
Spicoli.
they don't want to give. Yeah, they don't want to give him up. They come on, leave, and then they're unable to find him. They're searching all around for him. He's saying yeah, I don't trust Dewey. I don't want to give him up my friend. My best friend's a dummy, and I don't have any actually real people. And they're just explaining no, Dewey's your friend. You should be able to trust him. Just then Otto gives a jump scare and tackles Ingrid. Otto the dummy leaps out and tackles her. As Kip grabs barcode and is prepared to drop the dog outside of the window. And this is when Dewey explains that, dude, you're fucking you don't have any friends except for the puppies and your dummy. I'm your friend. You could have just explained. I would have gotten a dog somewhere else. I wouldn't have taken your dog if it meant that much to you. But what you're doing is absolutely insane. You're not acting like a friend. You're acting like a crazy person.
He's like, definitely not a friend because you didn't even give me a chance to be one. He's like, wait, can I start now? Kind of thing. Hands back barcode, and we see him at a press conference where he's like, hey, so I can't accept this $200 check. So I'm gonna give it to someone who definitely deserves it. And so they give it to
Linus Santiago.
And so, everyone's happy. They cheer and everything like that. And
they asked Linus what he's going to do with the money. He says he's going to put this towards getting Claudia a new bike. It's not going to cover the whole thing, but he definitely still owes her for everything that they've been putting her through.
Mm-hmm. And of course, as he and the girl, as they're about to leave, Fillmore's like, "Wait a minute, I got it. It was wires, right?" And he keeps trying to guess how they did the levitating, and every single time he's just like, "Nope, try guess." Sorry, how did he say it? Guess again, my friend.
Yep, they walk off in the sunset with him continuing to guess and be unable to guess. Very fucking funny episode. I love a good ventriloquist episode. This was the secondary episode of Andrew Tribeca that I mentioned. There was someone going around killing a bunch of ventriloquists, and it was Jeff Dunham was guest character of the episode or whatever. So he's definitely the culprit. But yeah, a bunch of very funny gags with ventriloquism, and then also there was a B plot about the other detective wanting to be a magician when she was younger, which is a very funny little coincidence of fucking magicians and fucking ventriloquist fucking double pairing again in that show years and years and years later. Very fucking funny bit. But yeah, Dummies, of course, a fun thing. I love when a nice movie. Have you seen the movie? What was it, Dead Silence? By
I know the dude. I know my
the dudes who did Saw.
I know my roommate Brittany definitely has that movie. It's one of her favorite horror movies, surprisingly enough.
It's incredible. Have you seen it?
I remember seeing it a long time ago, back when it first came out.
Yeah. Give it a rewatch. It's actually way fucking funnier and cooler than you remember because it's by the same dude who did Malignant and the dude who created Saw. Fucking incredible. Very fucking fun. And Annabelle, actually, because Annabelle cameos in Dead Silence as well, I believe. But yeah, it's a really fucking funny movie.
Okay.
And then also, obviously, Dummies, you can't have, evil talking dummies without Slappy from Goosebumps.
Hell yeah, I was wondering when you were going to get to that one.
Hell yeah, he's incredible.
And heck,
Slappy fucking
I know there's actually, you know what? You want to go with evil dummies?
Yeah.
Dude. What about Scarface from fucking Batman the Animated Series?
Hell yeah, I fucking love the ventriloquist. A villain in Batman who has definitely not gotten enough play in media because it's such a fucking cool ass setup. And whenever I love seeing them whenever they pop up. They're fucking great.
Mm-hmm. No, I like them too, dude. like especially after the longest time you don't see anything, and I think it was like in season 4, like they had that episode where the goons were trying to get him, like the ventriloquist guy who was separated from Scarface all this time. They were trying to get him to get back to it, and at the very end of the episode, you find out Scarface was going to eventually, but then these two dummies decided to rush things, kind of thing. I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
Dude,
great.
No, I agree with
love
you.
to see that character
One of
come
the
up.
unsung villains in Batman, definitely Scarface. But yeah, like
I would love to see
the
that
evil
character come
dummy
back.
trip is a thing, because I think old Twilight Zone did a thing with like the ventriloquist and dummies too.
There's 2 episodes. There's one called The Dummy, which is fucking fantastic. Like all of them, way creepier than you actually remember. But yeah, The Dummy is one episode where the guy's like, go losing his mind and his dummy's like trying to take over his life. And then the other one is Talkie Tina.
Well, now hold on. That one's not really a dummy one. That one's just a toy.
Yeah, it's a toy, but it is like a doll toy that is talking and like trying to ruin a guy's life very explicitly. But yeah, it's not really specifically a dummy. Yeah, the actual dummy episode, I feel like the main guy in the dummy is an actual actor who's like in a bunch of other stuff as well.
Probably. They did that a lot with the Twilight
Cliff Robertson,
Zone.
yeah. But yeah, the dummy is the 98th episode of the Twilight Zone. Yeah, fucking incredible.
Which, by the way, if you want like old fashioned like, but still holds up pretty nicely, The Twilight Zone is another really good show. It's long because there are a fuck ton of seasons and episodes of it.
Yeah, but it is evergreen and always delightfully wonderful.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would say, yeah, the other aspect was, did you ever watch The Masked Magician? The dude in like that weird like spirally mask thing that would like reveal how actual tricks and stuff were done. It was a show back in like the 90s.
No. Actually, surprisingly enough, I absolutely know what you're talking about. Like one time we recorded one of his shows. One of his things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like afterwards it'd be like, hey, this is how he did this kind of thing.
Yeah, and people were like, there was a whole like thing about like, oh, he's wearing a mask because all the other magicians despise him because then they'd kill him if they knew he's giving away tricks. That show was so bizarrely funny. And then I remember there was a King of the Hill episode where they spoofed it, where like Bobby Hill was like talking about how they did the tricks, and he was like wearing the same mask as the dude, and it was just a funny little bit. But yeah, have you ever like learned any magic like tricks yet at all? Are you
yet he says no. I never really. Look. In the words of whatever that meme may be, I was not good with magic nor sleight of hand.
Okay, because yeah, I would say I learned a couple. Bringing it back to cards from earlier, I learned a couple of the card tricks back in the day, just because I was like just bored and I wanted to figure out how they did them. So a couple of the like pick a card and like tricking people and flicking the card and hiding it. I learned a couple of those, but I never really like went far into it. But yeah, very fucking fun little aspect. Yeah, very fun little batch of episodes. A good way to start the season. A nice ventriloquist. A nice, there are a ton of episodes left to go. But yeah, very fun bit. Love this series. Very much enjoying it.
Yeah,
now,
it's a very fun one.
Predict who the villain was going to be?
In this one,
yeah.
Surprisingly enough, this was the only one that I had a feeling who the villain was.
Yeah.
like this
I mean,
was
you
the
see a dumb, you're like, okay, well, that's
like,
going to be behind it.
yeah, it wasn't even just because of that, but like the way he was acting, plus the fact that he just happened to be friends with the guy who owned the dog, and just everything. I'm just like, okay, you're being a little sus right now. Then all of a sudden we find out that he actually has dogs. I'm like, yeah, you're definitely the one. I was right all along, kind of thing. This was the only episode where I actually had a feeling, not because of the dummy trick, but like that he actually was the villain. All of the other ones, and it wasn't even like I was blaming him specifically. It's just like everyone else just really didn't have a good alibi. They all felt very red herring-ish.
Yeah. Very much a lot of red herrings. And yeah, I love the. I was like I said, personally, I was like, okay, well, yeah, there's a guy with the fucking dummy in the episode, and anyway, that's definitely going to be the culprit. I was thinking that the dummy was going to be like most of these other things we mentioned. The dummy was going to be controlling Kip and like making him do this for some reason because the dummy's motivations. But I'm actually surprised it was actually Kip behind it specifically. I assumed Otto was going to be the actual culprit. So yeah, very fucking funny. And also I love that the bit where Fillmore keeps addressing both the dummy and Kip, where he's just like, they meet them and he's just like, well, I'll just have some questions for you and you too, I guess. That's very fucking cool.
Right.
Funny ass episode, bitch. But yeah, let's wrap this episode up. I don't have any specific example. I said if you do have HBO Max or access to it, definitely give Andrew Tribeca a couple of episodes. It's fucking fantastically funny. Or if you have Amazon, like I said, Psych is available on Amazon. Another fucking fun procedural comedy show.
Well,
the Andrew Tribeca episodes are actually only half an hour, so that's probably much easier. Yep.
But Matt, why would I watch any of those shows? I have to catch up on Mighty Nine.
Well, hey, you're already on Amazon. Just pull up Psych while you're there.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I have to watch. I have to watch the Mighty Nine. The new episode dropped, and I need to still watch that.
No, of course. There's always too much to watch and too much to play and too much to do.
There really is, yeah.
But that's good.
Anyway, you were saying
it's good to have a glut of options. But let's wrap this episode up and do some plugs.
Cool.
So
as always, I don't have any plugs right now, but I know Matt does. So let's go with you.
Of course. Matthew List Podcast on YouTube, Matthew List Podcast on Patreon, Matthew List Podcast on Blue Sky, Matthew List Podcast on Twitch. Matthew List Podcast, most places, the easiest way to look it up. Listen to old episodes of Action Toon Bros. We have a long backlog and a lot of playlists. There's a bunch of Avatar stuff going on right now, including Magic the Gathering, my shorts I have. But there's a new Avatar game. It's apparently really fucking good. The fighting game has beta going out right now, and apparently it's one of the best fighting games out right now. People are fucking loving the beta for this Avatar game. Check that shit out and listen to the old episodes of Korra, because Korra is one of the characters in the game already announced, and she's apparently very good because Korra's the fucking best. And then while you're doing that, listen to old episodes of Movie Garbage. By the time this releases, our 5-hour long fucking Fast and Furious episode should be up, and also you have another 5-hour episode after that coming up with another fucking amazing movie, Vampire's Kiss, starring Nicolas Cage. Check those out. Beyond that, listen to The Forgotten Minotaur King, buy The Forgotten Minotaur King book. Go and, read, invest, go look at, invest in like good media, I mean, by listening to the podcast. Check all that shit out. And that's all my, plugs and shit for today.
Excellent. Well, yeah, this was a good batch of episodes. Good way to start season 2 up. And, I think our next Action Toon Bros episode is going to be, because I think you said after our like, Star Wars Visions, special, which I think airs before, like, all of this stuff.
Yeah, that'll be up before this.
Yeah, I think we're going back to Metalocalypse next time.
Yep, back to Metalocalypse. We are starting season 4, I believe, or close.
No. We're close to it. We're not there yet, but we are getting closer to it. So.
Yep. All right. So catch us on that next episode after you wrap this one up. From us at Action Toon Bros to you.
Keep it sleazy.